Hi everyone. In this Sup with SAP, we are going to discuss MRP, or Materials Resource Planning, inside the SAP software package. Let's go ahead and get started. So far, the way we've approached both procurement and manufacturing is really a buy to order or a build to order, where if we need bicycles, we produce exactly what we need. If we need raw materials or semi-finished goods in order to produce those bicycles, we go and buy them where we make them, but we are producing exactly what we need at any given moment in time. And that's not probably realistic for most actual companies. More likely than not, the way that Global Bike would likely pursue manufacturing is based upon some sort of schedule, which is based upon some sort of forecast. So they would have an idea of roughly how many bicycles they would sell in a given month, and they'd be producing those bicycles in a previous month so they'd be ready for the sales that they are forecasting. And that's what we're going to be exploring today, is the use of materials requirements planning to plan for future production and future purchases to support that future production based upon some sort of sales forecast that we would have generated for us by our marketing team. The first transaction that I'm going to show you is an investigatory transaction, and I will navigate to it. It's in logistics, it's in production, it's in the SOP, and specifically it's in product group. And the transaction I'm about to show you is displaying what our hierarchy looks like for our various product groups. And for the remainder of this video's examples, I'm going to be using 098 as my specific product type, because I want to actually look at a pristine example of Global Bike, and my 000 obviously I've manipulated throughout the semester. So for the remainder of today, you'll see me be typing 098. I expect you to still type your 3-digit code for your products, your product groups, etc., etc. If I look at the product group, which is PG-bike, and then your 3 digits, for our Dallas plant, you'll see something about the forecast that we expect for our various products. Inside our overall product group for bicycles, we expect to sell roughly 40% off-road bicycles and 60% road bicycles. And this is something that our marketing team would develop for us. We can see further breakdowns by clicking on one of those two subgroups. So if I click on the off-road bikes, you can see that we expect to sell roughly 65% off-road bikes in the men's style and 35% in the women's style. If I go back and double click on the touring group, you can see that 70% are typically deluxe touring bikes and 30% are professional touring bikes. And there's a further subgroup here. If I double click on the deluxe bikes, you can see that 40% are typically black, 30% are silver, and 30% are red. And if we double clicked on the professional touring, we would see a similar breakdown in color. Now, none of these are guarantees. These are forecasts based upon previous months or years of sales. So we don't know exactly what's going to sell in the future, but we can guess what the various breakdowns are based on past behavior and our future marketing efforts. If you return to the parent product group for all of your bicycles, there is another view of everything in terms of the hierarchy. I apologize in advance for the background color that someone at SAP seemed to think was appropriate for this picture. This is a hierarchy of all of our various bikes and various product groups. You can see that underneath our parent group for all bikes, we have off-road bikes and touring bikes. In the off-road bikes, we have 2 different types, men's and women's. In the touring bikes, we have 2 different types, deluxe and professional. And under the deluxe and the professional, we each have 3 different colors. So this is just a graphical representation of all the various types of products that we produce. Let's go ahead and explore the various transactions we need to create a materials requirements plan for our Global Bike. The first step, which I will navigate to, is in logistics, in production, in SOP, it's in planning, and it's for a specific product group. And the transaction code is MC82. We are not creating production schedules from scratch. We're editing existing plans. So in this case, you can see I chose MC82, which is an edit of an existing plan. I'm going to start with my parent product group, in this case, PG-Bike 098. You type your 3 digits. I'm going to be working with my Dallas plant, and I'm going to choose the active version of this plan. For my upcoming months, I would want to type the production that I need for various products. I'm going to type 1,000, 1,200, 1,000, and 900 for March, April, May, and June. The next thing I'm going to type are my target stocks. And I'm going to type 100, 200, 150. I'm making these numbers up, but these would be numbers that would be provided by our marketing department. So you can see that we expect to sell a few more bikes in April than we do in March. Our sales will decrease a little bit in May, and then they'll decrease even further in June. In the month where we expect to sell more, we may not be as certain about that number, so we may actually have an increased target stock level. That's how many bikes we want to have left over at the end of that month, if all goes exactly according to plan. You could do the math yourself to figure out what you would need for production in each of these months, but you don't have to. There is a built-in tool in the menu choice. If you go to the edit menu, you can create a production plan for your target stock level. And this will do the math on your behalf. So you can see that if things go according to plan, I would make 1,100 bikes in the first month, and that would leave me with 100 extra bicycles. In the second month, or April, I would make 1,300 bicycles, and at the end of the month, I'd have 200 extra. In May, I would only make 900 bicycles, and I would decrease my extra bicycle inventory down to 100 again. And in June, I would make 850 bicycles, and my target stock would decrease to 50. Again, you could do that math yourself, but there's a built-in tool that'll do that math for you. So this is what we're planning on doing for the next 4 months. Let's go ahead and move from this rough cut plan to the next step. I'm going to save my work, and I'm going to move on to my next transaction. The next step is still in the SOP folder, but we're moving on to disaggregation. And the transaction that we're going to be using is MC76, break down the product group plan. I'm still going to choose my parent product group, PG-Bike, and then your 3 digits. I'm still going to choose Dallas, and I'm still going to choose active version. This is where the breakdowns that we saw in our earlier investigatory transaction show up. So we're going to break down what we need for our parent product group into its subgroups. When we are selling bicycles, we expect to sell 40% off-road bikes and 60% touring bikes. I'm going to click the green checkbox, and I'm going to see the earlier schedule that we created for production for the various months. I am going to click on the hammer and wrench macro button. Yours might look like just a wrench. I'm going to choose disaggregate production for production, and I'm going to click the green checkbox. And what you'll see show up in the lower part of your screen is the fractional breakdown of production into the subgroups that are underneath your parent group. If I'm going to be making 1,100 bicycles in my first month, 440 of them should be off-road bikes, and 660 of them should be road bikes. And you can see the same thing for the future months as well. I'm going to go ahead and save my work. In order to completely disaggregate my aggregate plan, I would need to go through this step for every single product group. So I'm going to search for my product groups in Dallas. You can see that we have a group for all of our touring bikes, we have a group for all of our off-road bikes, and we have subgroups for our deluxe bikes and our professional bikes. Let's start with our off-road bicycles. The breakdown for off-road is going to be 65% men and 35% women. I'm going through the same steps of clicking on my wrench macro button and disaggregating for production. You can see of the 440 off-road bikes we make in the first month, 286 are going to be men's and 154 are going to be women's. And you can see subsequent numbers in the next months. I'm going to save my work. I'm going to choose the touring group, TRBK, and choose active version. This is a 70-30 split between deluxe bikes and professional bikes. I'm going to go ahead and click my macro button and disaggregate. And you can see the breakdown of the 660 in the first month as 462 deluxe bikes and 198 professional bikes. And then I'm going to do this 2 more times for the various color breakdowns, and you'll see the results in the next couple of screens. For deluxe touring bikes, it's a 40-30-30 split, and here's what the resulting split looks like. For the professional touring bikes, it's also a 40-30-30 split, and here's what that breakdown looks like. Do notice that sometimes the numbers are not exactly the same. For production for the month of April, for our professional bikes, you can see we're going to make 70 of the silver bikes and 71 of the red bikes. You can't make fractions of a product, so in this case, they chose to round up one of those 2 numbers to give us the total of 234 across the 3 different colors. The next step, after we break down our plan for our product groups, is to transfer the plans for the product groups to demand management. It's in the same folder, and the transaction code is MC75. You're going to want to start with your parent product group again in Dallas. The version you're interested in is A00, which is the only choice you'll have available to you. For the transfer strategy and period, we're going to pursue production plans for all of our different product group members. We're going to produce these bicycles. We're going to choose a date, which can be today when you're creating this plan. And our requirements type is going to be LSF, which if you search will be the make to stock production choice. Once you've entered all this information, go ahead and click the green checkbox and then click on the Transfer Now button. After clicking Transfer Now, you won't necessarily see anything happening on the screen, but there was an action that moved everything we did earlier to the demand management aspect of SAP. And now we're ready to move to the next step. The way we're going to run our MRP is through the MPS system, which is in the productions folder, in production planning, in MPS, and then in MPS again. And what we're going to use is MD43, which is for a single item at a time, but is interactive. For our material, I'm going to enter our parent product group. And I am going to have to check the box for product group because we're not entering an individual material. For our control parameters, I am going to change one of the default parameters, and that is where it currently says create purchase requisition. I'm going to change that to create a planned order. We are going to be producing these bicycles, not buying them. After entering this information, go ahead and click on the green checkbox. You may get a warning. Check your input parameters. You just need to click the green checkbox a second time. And at this point, we'll have to go through each of our various products in their subfolders and click on each one individually. I'm not going to click on all 8, but I am going to pursue 2 of them for demonstration purposes. In my touring group, I'm going to go into my deluxe touring group, and I'm going to go ahead and pursue my black deluxe touring bikes. The next screen shows what we currently have in stock and what we need at the beginning of the next planning period. Now you can see I am doing all of this on the 30th of March, and we had some things that we needed for this month. We needed 184, but I already had 250 of these bicycles on hand, so I'd still have 66 left over at the end of the month. That means I'm probably not going to have to make any. The next month, we're going to have an additional need of 218 black deluxe touring bikes, and that's going to eat up all of my inventory and then some. So you can see available quantity would drop to negative, and it will continue to get more and more negative as we move into the future unless I counter that with some production. So I'm going to click on the planning button, which looks like a red and white pinwheel, and the system will create some planned orders. I don't need a planned order for the month of March, but for the month of April, I'll have to make 152 bicycles to end up with 0 bicycles at the end of that particular time period. For the month of May, I'll have to make 151, and for the month of June, I'll have to make 142. Do note the interesting dates that are showing up on my particular plan. April is just around the corner from the 30th of March, and as a consequence, I'm getting a late start for my April production. I need to produce immediately, and they're still not going to be ready until the 6th of April. I am getting things moving early enough for May and June, so you can see that all of those dates will have things done by the 1st of those months. I'll do one more example. In my touring group, I'll go into my professional touring bikes, and again look at my black professional touring bikes. In this case, you can see I have 180 to start with. That means I don't need to make any for the month of March, and I don't even need to make any for the month of April. I'll still have 8 left over. I will need to produce some for May and June. If I click on my planning button, you'll see I need to create 2 planned orders, 134 and 135. And if I pursue those planned orders, at the end of those months, I should have 0 additional stock on hand. I'm going to click Save. To be thorough, you would need to go through this same process for all of your various product groups. So that would mean expanding the off-road bikes and doing the same activity for men's and women's bicycles, and expanding your touring group and going through each of the 3 colors for deluxe bikes and each of the 3 colors for your professional bikes. The last step is to complete the purchasing of needed materials for our production. And that transaction is MD41. It's in the same folder. In this case, you could type specific materials. So I'm going to do my deluxe touring bikes in black. In Dallas, they are not a product group, they're a specific product. I am going to change some of the parameters. For the purchase requisitions, I'm going to change this from purchase requisitions in opening period to just purchase requisitions. We'll buy things throughout the various periods as necessary. I'm also going to change the planning mode to delete and recreate planning data. We're going to start everything from scratch and then run it again. I'll click my green checkbox. After getting a warning, I will click it a second time, and you'll see a variety of different new purchase requisitions or plans that we had to create for the products that we need to support production for this specific bicycle. So we planned for 17 different products. We created a variety of different purchase requisitions inside our system. Again, in a real-world environment, you would have to do this for every individual material. So I'd have to do all 3 colors of deluxe bikes, all 3 colors of professional bikes, and both the men's and women's off-road bikes. But I'm only demonstrating one of these for you today. The end result of MRP is either planned orders or purchase requisitions. Neither one requires the user to actually pursue any further action. So you haven't actually created any new inventory in the system, either in terms of raw materials or in terms of finished goods. In order to move forward in a realistic environment, you would adopt the planned orders and convert them to actual production orders, and you would adopt the purchase requisitions and convert them to actual purchase orders. But in our case, you do not need to do so. You've got some plans out there that don't need to be executed upon. If you want to see the plans that were created, there are 2 investigatory tools that you can use. The first would be MD16. If we use MD16 to search for specific materials, and you look for a specific bicycle, like DXTR 1098, you'll see that I have 3 planned orders that are scheduled. The first one should finish by the 6th of April on my schedule, the second one the 1st of May, and the third one the 1st of June. And we remember when we were scheduling things that I didn't need to make anything for March. I was getting a late start for April, but I'm good to go for May and June. The other transaction you can look at would be to investigate your various purchase requisitions, and that would be ME53N. This transaction will bring up your most recent purchase requisition, but if you click on the button for other purchase requisitions and search for one of the items you might need for production, so for instance, a brake kit, you can see I have 3 purchase requisitions for brake kits. And if I open up the last one, you can see that is an order for a brake kit that would be delivered by the 28th of May for production for June. So I'm getting it a couple days ahead of time so that I can make those bicycles by June 1st. And in this case, it looks like I need 203 brake kits to make 203 bicycles. So the end result of MRP is to create either planned orders or purchase requisitions that will support those planned orders so that in the future, we're making the right number of bicycles to satisfy our forecasted demand. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.